I'm the
Well,
button presser. Let me press the button. Let me do what I'm best at, and that's pressing buttons, son.
So here we are live. Here's the funny thing: we're both in Queensland. We're both in the same state. I'm in Brisbane. You're on the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
but we are here live.
we are.
Yeah, very exciting times for us to be here live, sharing, just showing up everywhere. You are live. Let me just bring that up here. Make sure everyone's happy.
Real happy if we're happy and we know it.
Yeah. And today is pretty exciting actually, because today we're talking about the difference between growth and evolution. It's kind of like everything we've been talking about over all this period of time that has come to this, where we're now talking about the difference between growth and evolution. And very excited by that. I'm just going to bring up something here.
And just while you're doing that, Dave, I was just thinking as you're talking, looking at your background, how cool is it that our businesses have been able to evolve into a space where you can be traveling in Brisbane and I can be kind of here on the Gold Coast. And yes, we've got the studio that we can be in, but when we get to have this blessing of work-life integration, as you and I do, so too does our business get to evolve so we can continue to show up, serve, and do our best work that we love in the world from wherever we are. And today, for you, that just happens to be en route to one of the most beautiful places on earth, which I'm so excited that you get to go to, because some of my best memories, and Susie, if you're watching this, you'll know, is being on holidays in Hamilton Island with some of my dearest friends. So enjoy.
Yes. So so the cat's out the bag. So after here, as soon as this live's over, we check out of the hotel, head to the airport, and then we're hopping on another plane to Hamilton Island. So we'll be there for 4 days, but then we'll be working with clients from Hamilton Island, so that's cool. So once again, yes, our organization has evolved, and we've increased our capabilities and our capacity for greatness by being able to serve people anywhere in the world from anywhere in the world. So exciting. So today, what we're going to cover on the live stream is actually the difference between growth and evolution. I want people to get very, very clear on this, because there's a lot of gurus out there who are talking to you about, business growth and fast growth and growth mindset and all this sort of stuff. And so we're going to talk about the difference and then why it's so important to create evolution as the natural state of your business. We're not going to say that growth is bad as a holistic concept. Growth is bad when you're only focused on growth. Okay, and we'll talk about that as why, and then how you need to also evolve yourself and your business in order to stay. Right. So this is what I want to talk about, and like very close to my heart, because let's say this growth agenda has been going around for a very, very long time. And it's, us, we words matter, right?
Words matter.
Words matter. And because, once again, words form our thoughts then form our behaviors, our actions forms our character and our habits. So I think it was Gandhi or someone who said that. I'm not going to take credit for it. But the concept being that words matter. So if you're so focused on the growth mindset, then you're just going to be locked onto growth. Then we talked about locking onto things and locking things out before. When you the problem with the mindset is that it's a mindset. So when you have a growth mindset, I just want to grow. Well, the thing I want to work on today is the first thing is talk about the difference between growth and evolution. But I just want to preface that is I'm not about to. It may seem like we think that growth is bad, but it's not. It's only bad when only focused on growth. Okay, so there's tremendous. Let's call it. I want to say I accept at a big level the need to grow. Totally do, but just make sure that it's based on this difference here. So growing is about it's about being more for more. We want to just we want to grow our business. I want to make our business more for more. So we want to expand it, make it bigger, and then serve more people. And we confuse that with scale, right? So, and remind me to talk about scale in a moment, right? Please. So being more for more. So we double down on our existing revenue drivers and we just find new ways to reach more people doing the same thing to make money the same way, but just to serve more people. That's growth. And that's great. So isn't that a great thing in a market where supply and demand is like there's a tremendous demand right now and there's limited supply. Well, you can reach out and grow as much business as you can. It's great. But that also leads to what I believe is that growth becomes a very short-term strategy. and it's taking advantage of the current situation. Now, there's a lot of also people who grow the business and they grow it extremely well when the market's really good. But when the market's really bad, the business doesn't grow as much.
Mm.
So if your business succeeds on the market and fails on the market, your business is a commodity because the market determines the price of the commodity or the success of commodities. Now, please, I'm not an economist, but fundamentals of it is if your business is good when the market is good and your business is bad when the market is bad, then you're a commodity. And that means then the market will start to determine your price. And how many of you actually are in a price war at times with your competitors, or everyone seems like we're always competing on price. Well, when you do that, then you are becoming a commodity. You're allowing your business to become a commodity.
And the thing with that as well, Dave, is that if you're a commodity, if your business is a commodity because your market is in control of the value of you and your business, does that therefore mean at a grander scale that market is also dictating the safety of your well-being, of your house, of how you get to show up for your family? And would you trust your market with that? Like, I love you guys. Honestly, I so do. But I don't know how I'd go about trusting you with my house, just saying, love you.
Yeah.
But it's true, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the thing. And this is where stress and anxiety and worry and all this sort of come along from a business owner or entrepreneur point of view, is that, if you're like, oh, the market's really good and things are going great, but then the market goes bad. Oh, what am I going to do now? How are we going to survive? I have to lay people off. And this is where you're always upsizing and downsizing or right sizing and expanding and contracting because of the market. And that's not saying that's just to survive. It's not to thrive.
Mm.
Okay? So there's a big difference between making sure your business survives and making sure your business thrives. So growth is about being more for more, and that's great. So be more for more people. When you find your sweet spot and the thing that you want to do for business, and then find out how do you reach more people, that's amazing. But please understand that it's a short-term strategy. It does not allow you to be prepared for what may and will show up. Now, if anything, the last 3 years has taught us anything, Lisa, is that no matter what we prepare for, there's stuff that's going to come along that we can't prepare for. Yeah. But how many people, and anyone watching, listening to this later, how many businesses had actually evolved through the pandemic? Like tremendous amount of businesses they've had to evolve through the pandemic. And we've been talking about evolution as a theory for business for over 6 years, right? So how does that, all of a sudden a pandemic comes along and force and thrusts this need to evolve upon many, many people or many businesses, right? So we've been forced to evolve. And they can see that, and this is how we've been able to survive, if not thrive, in business, right? So imagine if we could actually take that same philosophy and actually do it by design rather than by default and circumstance. So most of us have through default and circumstance, have been forced to evolve our businesses. Whereas now I'm saying, what if you could do that by design? What if you could do that by design? Because we had to do it to stay relevant so that we could stay alive in business and, like I said, barely survive, let alone thrive in business. But what if we could actually do that by design, where we're constantly evolving our business to stay relevant? Thanks, Julie.
And I really love what you say there as well, Dave. And I've been in a really interesting season of my life in the last 18 months where it's kind of like let go and let come, knowing that I'm divinely supported and all of that stuff.
Yeah. But
then there's also there's a level of awesomeness where you're like, oh, sweet, like I'm being delivered all of this great stuff I didn't even know I could have. But then if I'm also able to apply a little bit of consciousness to that and co-create so that I'm doing that by design, even though the default circumstances have been amazing, if I know that I can actually be contributing to the outcome as well, it just makes that so much more enriching and empowering, even when the circumstances are great. It doesn't necessarily have to be default equals bad. Default can be great as well. But if you know that you're contributing to design the awesomeness that the default is, then how great is that? So,
yeah, absolutely. And like I said, like once again, default, like, hey, default happened. At least you had the intuitiveness or whatever to able to look, okay, how am I going to adapt and respond to it? Right, I was the intelligence to go, yeah, okay, here's what we're going to do because of that, and we're going to work our way through it. I guess our, the point of being having evolution as a natural state of your business is so that you can do this once again by design and anticipate the future. okay, as much as you can. So, and we've talked about this before, that we are in our generation's most uncertain of times, right? So this amazing level of uncertainty. Now, every generation's had their levels of uncertainty, but I believe this is our generation's most uncertain of times.
Yeah.
But this should be the most exciting of times for business, because in the past, when we would have 10 years of this and then 10 years of that, it was fairly predictable, these cycles that we would have, right? The boom and bust cycles in 10-year windows. See, here's the cool thing. So there's no opportunity or little opportunity in predictability, but there's tremendous opportunity in uncertainty, because nobody has a clue what you should be doing. There's no rule book that says this is how business is supposed to be done from now on, right? So we have this tremendous uncertainty. So how can you create some sense of predictability for yourself in the uncertainty? Well, that's by making sure that we're thinking about building a business in the future that will be relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that we choose to serve. Whilst we may be relevant today, what are you doing today to make sure you stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people you choose to serve? How are you evolving into that organization? Because if you're just growing your business, you're just being more of what you already are for more people, which is great. And certainly please take up that as a blessing and do as much of that as you can. But you have to be doing that on the backbone of evolution. So if growth is all about being more for more, evolution then is about becoming more rather than being more. So we can become more, and then therefore we can achieve more or do more or be more, right? So when we think about growth, is like, to me, it's about being more. So it's about who you are, doubling down, doing all that. But evolution, then, is about that becoming more. And so our definition of evolution is the steady and progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness. So we're steadily, progressively increasing our capabilities, becoming more, and increasing our capacity for greatness. We're able to do more. So you'll have growth spurts on the back of evolution. But if you only have growth as your state of mind for your business, then you are at risk of growing out of business, because if the market shifts or change, if consumer demands change, or some new technology comes, or some other competitor comes along and imagines the future of your business that you didn't choose to, or you chose to imagine but didn't take action on, then you're out of business, or you lose significant market share, and all that growth will be for naught. So
And
even
to Julian's point,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and to Julian's point here, he's gone, you can't win the new game by playing the old rules. And we talk about that as well. We can't put a new way of thinking into an old way of doing. So, Julian, you're bang on with that.
Yeah, 100%. And this is where we tell people, you not only need to reimagine your strategy, but you also have to reimagine the way you think about strategy. Like, you have to reimagine everything about your business, right? And that's like thinking about the business that would put yourself out of business so that you can build the one that puts you out of business. So you're really putting your old way of doing business out of business, or someone else will come along and imagine that business and then come along and put you out of business, because you were so focused on growth, not evolution. Right? So the fundamental difference between growth and evolution: growth is about being more for more, and evolution is about becoming more for more.
I just saw you do like growth and evolution, and I was like, oh, talk more about that. But I actually think that's what we're going to whiteboard into, isn't it?
That's right. I'm leading into whiteboarding. Yeah, so so please understand that's the difference. And why it's so important then to create evolution as the natural state of your business, because you have two simple choices. One, create the business that will put yourself out of business, as I just alluded to, or two, let somebody else do it and put you out of business. There's your choices. So if you're actually creating evolution as the natural state of your business, you can become that organization that would put your old way of doing business out of business and stay in business, or you can allow someone else to do it. And this is, we used to talk a lot about the difference between effect and affect. You have the choice to either be affect change, so you can actually affect the change and make it happen, or be at the mercy of the effect of change.
Yeah.
So the taxi companies are at the mercy of Uber coming along and affecting change in the personal transportation industry, and then we're being affected by it. And if we, as we jokingly said numerous times, if the taxi companies just created the app, Uber wouldn't exist today. They didn't think they needed to, because they had the market locked down, and they were, they were in control of the market, they believe.
And you and I talk about this a lot, Dave. When we're working with our incredible people, it's that sometimes, often, usually, is the sticky point when we're working with our clients around, okay, so now we're in our business, but we're now trying to imagine a business that's going to put this business out of business. And it's this little sticky point where it's like, let's try and get out of our goldfish bowl so we can get a higher vantage point so that we can stay relevant by predetermining the needs of our clients in the future to stay relevant. But we're still where we are, and it's this really interesting sticking point. And I find it super intriguing when we're going through that process. And we've got a few at the moment that it's like, oh, I feel you and I see you in your stickiness, but it's perfect, hey?
Yeah, well, because we're asking them to imagine a business that does not yet exist.
Yep.
And this is the really cool point, because a lot of traditional strategic thinking, and Julian will probably, based on what I'm getting a sense of who he is and how he thinks, that a lot of people that tell you, don't work in your business, work on your business. Well, what we're suggesting people is work out of your business. Like, take an outside view of your business. It's what we call that astronaut view. But the studies done on astronauts when they return back from space, they have a total different perspective on the Earth after they've seen it from the outside, from outer space. So we want to pull you out of your business and then look back at it and go, hey, let's all go across the road and start a business over here that will put that one out of business. What would we need to imagine and create here that would take significant market share or put that business out of business? And let's start building that business. Or let's just stay where we are and let someone else come and start the business across the road.
And if that kind of stuff juices you like it does us, we've got some exciting stuff coming up in the next little bit that I'm really excited to share with you about that as well. But I love the idea from my PT perspective, like, let's work out your business. I love working out. Working out is a fun time because more gains, more cake. So let's not work in business on business. Let's work out and work out of our business. How exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's evolutionary thinking. And part of that is one of the, I'm never sure if I'm allowed to have a favorite Clarism, but one of my favorite Clarisms is... Are
they like children?
Yeah.
No favorites.
Is that one of my favorite Clarisms is the fact that if you don't start anticipating the future needs of your clients, one thing you can anticipate is not having future clients.
That's one of my not favorite Clarisms as well, because we're not allowed to have favorites, but yes.
And one of the other things we always think, one of the ones that ties with that is, we're always thinking about our customers' customers. So if you want to look at how do we evolve, how do we become the business that we need to become to stay relevant, instead of just saying, how do I keep serving my customers? Well, we say, well, hang on, look, who are your customers' customers? Because whatever's happening to their world is going to start happening to your customers' world, which will happen to your world. So then if you want to start anticipating the future needs of your clients, then start looking at what their clients are wanting, and then how can you help build a business that supports them to do that? Okay, so it's like getting much deeper into this, and this is where evolution, and then we go, well, what capabilities would we need to have that we don't have right now? We have this certain capacity for this amount of greatness, but if we increase our capabilities at the same time, then we can increase our capacity for greatness as we increase our capabilities. Okay, so with that, let's segue to the whiteboard. If you can crack open the whiteboard.
Ooh, button pressing, my fave.
Yeah.
How'd I go?
Yeah, awesome. Now I'm hoping that there's not too much lag here, so we'll see how this goes. But on the first diagram on the left there, this is about the mission. So if we start to us, mission is the next evolution of your business, right? So if we think, good, it's working there. 3 years from now, who does your business need to become, right? This is what we've talked about before. Who do we need to become? This might look like Charles writing here. Who do we need to become in the next 3 years to stay relevant in the hearts and minds of people we choose to serve? And then what we would say to the leader is, then, well, if that's the business you need to be, if this is where your business is now, and this is who you are now, you've built this business here, right? This leader built this business. Now we're saying we want this business. This is the future of our organization. This is who we need to become. Well, then the question would need to be, well, who do you need to become then in the next 3 years to lead that business? Because the leader you are today built this business, right? So that's great. But if you want to have this business, well, then who do you need to become to have that business? And then this is where we help the leaders in that involved with the business. So we go, what's your theme for the next 12 months? And this is why we've talked about past. Lisa and I have themes. So what is your theme in terms of your own evolution theme for the next 12 months? Because then that helps the mission or the business continue to evolve. Then in the next 12 months, what is your next evolution of you? Right? So then the business continues to evolve. And then what's the next evolution of you? So the business continues to evolve. Because your business will only evolve as much as you evolve. If your business must be like that, what kind of leader would run that business? And then how do you become that person? Or you might bring that person into your organization if you choose. But if we want to have the success, it comes with both. You can't just build that organization on the leader you are today and build a business of tomorrow on the leader you are today. It's the same as that same thinking. The thinking that created the problem is really one that can solve the problem. Also to Julian's comment, right? So you need to be prepared to evolve yourself. And this is why one of our non-negotiables when we start working with any clients is we have two simple non-negotiables. You actually have to show us and demonstrate to us that you actually care and give a shit about your people, your humans.
Yep,
in your
100%.
organization. And then number two is that you're the one who's willing to evolve first.
Yep.
Because we want you to create that space and capacity for greatness so that your team have room. So we don't create this false ceiling where organizations, when they got focused on growth and everything starts happening, two things happen when you just focus on growth. Either great people go, there's a ceiling here, and they leave, or
Yep.
the business gets over top of the leader and comes down and crushes them and implodes upon them because business got way bigger than they are. Okay, so please understand that this is why we talk about evolving yourself and your business to stay relevant. You need to become relevant as a leader in tomorrow's time. You need to understand the future of leadership, the future of work, new organizational models, how to become a coach, not a boss, how to create greater employee experiences, how to leverage technology. All these four core, fundamentals of what is now the now of work, I would imagine, the now of leadership, but was once called the future of work and leadership. So how are you actively becoming a leader who embraces that and brings that sort of into your organization, leads that?
And it was really interesting having a conversation with my dad yesterday as well. He's been in his business for 40 years, and he just said to me frankly, and I was really shocked. He goes, Lisa, I haven't evolved with the times and I haven't evolved with the technology. And so therefore I got to go. Like, he's like, yep, I'm not, if I'm the glass ceiling here, I haven't evolved with these times. And so even though this is my business and I've grown it over 40 years, it's now time for me to go. So I was like, holy moly, that is the greatest example of leadership that I've ever seen my dad demonstrate in business, because he's gone, yep, taken responsibility for the fact that he has evolved himself to the level of what his capacity is, and therefore that's not serving the business anymore. So he's making the decision to go, I'm out, because otherwise that implode piece that you talked about. So and that can also be a piece too.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's also admitting, without saying the words, is that I'm not willing to, or I can't be bothered, or whatever, which is okay. It's not a bad thing, to increase my capabilities.
Yep.
As a leader, I'm happy being the leader. That sounds a bit like evolution is my revolution. What's the difference between evolution and revolution?
Is revolution just like revving up evolution, going faster?
Well, a revolution is kind of like a fundamental
circle leadership.
It's to revolve, right? It's a fundamental turn or shift, where evolution is a steady increase of our capabilities and our capacity for greatness.
True. I love words.
But in order to lead a revolution, you might need to evolve to be the leader who leads the revolution, right? Absolutely. And this is where you can bring disruption or turn a market upside down on its head. So we need to constantly evolve to stay relevant. But if you want to lead a revolution, if you're not already leading one, then you're not the leader you need to be to lead it. Who do you need to become in order to lead a revolution?
I love that, Blair. Great comment. Thank you.
Yeah. Blair and I go back to, Blair worked with me at Bank West way back in like 1990 something, Blair, I think, from memory. We both all matured a long time since then. Like, and I'm going to say mature, I mean like the gray.
You haven't matured? Oh, right. Yeah, cool.
Physically, not mentally. So that's the one thing there. And then the other one I just want to quickly share with you then is this concept of growth and evolution. So when we talk about that definition of evolution, about being the steady progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness, right? So capacity is not just one way, it's like, right? So if we sit there and we go, and then the next 3 years, if we keep being who we are, we're going to focus on growth, we're just going to keep being more for more. Yeah, 1990, Blair, it was crazy. But I didn't want to go back that far. That's like 32 years ago or something. Blair must have been like 18 at the time or something.
You would have only been like, what, 53 at that point?
How old Blair is now, but I'm way older, let's put it that way. So if you look at this from your capacity then, so if you stay where you are, but you want to increase, you're just going to become more for more. That's awesome, right? But if you steadily and progressively increase your capabilities in terms of what we can provide and do in the services, anticipating the future needs of our clients, we can actually continue to not only increase our capacity, but through increasing our capabilities, right? And this is how we will stay relevant, right? This is where relevance is. You want to be more for more? That's awesome. You're going to have to do it by becoming more first. Okay, and this is why then the spine of this, making evolution the natural state of your business, so then you can have growth spurts and things that are there, but in a way where you stay relevant. Because if all this stuff shifts and you're still down here, you're going to go out of business or lose a significant chunk of your business.
Or lose a significant chunk of your sanity, because this is the feedback that we get from a lot of business owners at the moment, that, yeah, their business is growing. Yeah, there's more stuff coming in, but they're working harder than ever before. And they're kind of going, well, what for? Because they're doing more for more. So sure, you can get more stuff and it can get busier. And then you feel guilty about the fact that you don't love that it's busy, but because you're burnt out. And then you're kind of like, do I want some kind of work-life balance? Or do I want to just make hay while the sun shines, but I feel crap about it because I'm burnt out? We're doing more for more. And what's the point of having more work and doing more things if it's affecting our quality of life and we're not happier anyway? Because if we're not happy, if we're not living our best life, then what for? Anyway, I'll just get off my soapbox for a sec. But it's true, hey? Like, honestly.
100%. Right? So, I've always said there's two ways to get greater results in life. One, work longer and harder than you ever have. So first, check, and how many people you know who are actually working longer and harder than they ever have? Are you working longer and harder than you ever have before? Anyone watching?
Because you can get there from there. That is a way to move forward.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the leaders that we first start working with, that's where they are. They're working longer and harder. They're frustrated. They're stressed out. They're anxious about the business. They care about their people, and they know that they need to evolve, and that it's taking much more work to get the same results at the moment. Like it's not even to get new results. It's actually just to keep the results that they've been having for a while, keep their lifestyle and all this stuff and things. But then they're having to work longer and harder themselves. Their team they're worrying about the teams getting burnt out. Their people, their turnover, all this sort of stuff. They have all the fruits and toys you could imagine, but never any time to play with them because they're not becoming more. They're just being more for more. Sometimes we just need to be more for more just to survive, right? Because pricing has shifted, cost of business has shifted, wages, the economy, everything shifts. So we're actually have to work longer and harder and more for more just to even make what we were making before, maybe even a little less. But it doesn't have to be that way. You do not have to kill yourself in your business to build a lifestyle, so only to kill yourself in the process that you're too old and too tired to be able to enjoy it. And even as an employee, it's just like you should still be able to have an amazing or epic lifestyle in any organization going forward. But that's only if you as a leader are willing to evolve yourself to make space and capacity for the rest of the team to evolve, so we can constantly be increasing the capabilities and the capacity for greatness of everybody in the organization. Because great businesses are built on great people, right? But if we're burning people out and they're cycling them out, we have to keep finding people. Then there's this war for talent, and all this other stuff starts to open up, and we can go into a whole dialogue of all this sort of stuff. But it's only fundamentally because we're not seeking to become more first. We're just trying to be more. But if if we could show you just a simple way in terms of how still got to do the work. Don't get me wrong. When I say simple, I like simplifying everything that we do, but a simple system in terms of how to evolve yourself and your businesses to stay relevant. So you can achieve even what you're achieving is not more than what you're already achieving by increasing your capabilities and achieve more with less or equal to. Right?
Yeah.
It's possible, people. It's
totally.
Possible. Clients doing it all the time now who tell us that, Dave, you wouldn't believe it. Lisa, you wouldn't believe it. This has been our best year ever. And not just our best year ever in terms of financial performance of our business. It's been our best year ever in terms of the culture of our organization. Yes, our financial performance. I've actually don't work weekends anymore. I go and spend time with my kids. I go ride my bike. I do the things that make me excited. I go play golf. I do whatever it is that you want to do. Go to dance class. I don't care. And still have equal, if not better, results in your business while you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you want your best year ever, it's not going to come from growing. It's going to come from evolving.
And this is what I absolutely love about the work that we do in the world, Dave. We talk a lot about that culture and strategy alignment, and that you could have any kind of business coach doing anything out there. And I was only having a chat with one of our clients about this yesterday. We don't want what we do in the world and the way that we serve people to just be another thing that they've got to do in order to try and expand and move forward. We want to we do what we do so that we can have an alignment between strategy, but also then not being the richest man in the graveyard or the richest woman in the hospital or the richest whatever, not able to get out of bed in the morning because what for? And like Dave said, it's like you still got to do the work. Like going for a run is simple. We don't have to have like this full-on huge exercise program. Eat less, move more. It's simple, but you still got to move. You still got to do the work. You still got to run. You know, but it's how can we have this alignment? How can we put all of this concept and the art and science and the juicy stuff? And this is why we love getting into the complexity of this so that we can deliver it in the world in a simple way that allows you to have a strategy that expands and evolves your business so that you also have the capacity in your being to enjoy the epic human experience that gets to be your success as a result. Not too tired, burnt out, and broke to be able to even experience or enjoy what you've worked so hard for. And that's what I love about what we do. And that's why I love that that's the difference in our space.
Yeah. So please, if you're watching this and you've been listening to all the gurus talk about a growth mindset, they're not wrong as long as you have it on the back of evolution as the natural state of yourself and your business.
Yeah.
We constantly evolve as a human being, as a species. Darwinism theories say, and I've adapted this thing a little bit, but it's not the strongest, the fastest, the fittest that survives. It's the one that's able to adapt to their ever-changing environment is the one that survives. And I just have the ever-changing in there because our environments are ever-changing. So it's your ability to adapt to our ever-changing environment is what's going to cause you to survive, if not thrive, as an organization, as a leader. So we have these two models we happily share with you guys on a worksheet if you want to map out and put your themes in. So if you put, we'll just go
evolution,
hashtag evolve, and we'll make sure that you get the templates for this. You can start mapping out what you think your themes are. The same templates we use with our clients. And you say, okay, what's the next evolution to me? What would be my theme for this year? What's my theme for that year? What would that look like? And we'll show you some simple tools and a little workbook with those models in it that you can use. So
and that theme work is, it sounds simple, but it is so profound. I cannot even, I don't want to stress or impress because those things aren't things that would, but if I could find a word that helps me get across the point that it is so profound to have a theme. And we've done ours since the start of the year, but what a perfect time now as a reset. We've had the winter solstice. We've got the new financial year if you're in Australia. If you were to set up a theme or if you want to expand more into a certain space of beingness in the next 3, 6 or 12 months, what might that be for you? And really honoring that and then you speak through the lens of that. So for me, mine this year is honor. And so how, honor gets to show up more, like what an amazing space to be in. And same with Dave. Dave needs to be a little bit careful about what he wishes for being prolific. We are so prolifically receiving of all of the things. We're like, whoa, Dave's like, I did this. Not sorry. But it's amazing. It's a key piece. So if you want a little bit more info on that, we'd be happy to chat.
Yeah, so just hashtag evolve. And then, maybe we could do a whole session on themes. We could probably do another live on that. Because we could run into that forever. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, as always, to our weekly live. It certainly is, we value your time and attention. Anyone who sees it after the fact, all the comments that show up on other platforms that we don't get to initially. Blair, Julian, and anyone else who tuned in and commented on the post as the live stream today, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blair, you're always always enjoy our time together. Blair's an amazing artist, actually. So he came along to one of my workshops, and he's one of those, like those infographic.
The caricatures?
Those purpose to profit. It's kind of like a mind map, but as a picture. I have it on LinkedIn. I might share that again. Blair, that's amazing. I'm like, he said it to me afterwards. He's like, I was just mind mapping your presentation, and it was a beautiful picture of it, and I'm like, holy crap, like it was just unreal.
You're a pretty awesome artist too, as well. Just saying, Dave Clare.
Well, no, there's a rumor about that, but anyway.
Don't say these things out loud.
Next week will be a very surprise theme because Tiana and I have been working on some stuff behind the scenes, so we'll let you know more about that next week. But until then, start really looking at how do I turn evolution into the natural state of my being and also that of my business, right? And enjoy that. And we look forward to anything. Oh, shucks. Well deserved, Blair, but it was epic. All right, guys, have a great end of the week, whatever's left, the end of the strong, as Lisa was
saying. Thank you.
And we'll see you next strong.
See you next strong. We don't have staff and we don't have weeks. We have team and strong.
All right. Have a strong team. See you, everyone.